The House continues to make the people's priorities our priorities. We've passed real entitlement reform, a balanced budget plan, and good bills to create a more of an opportunity economy. Another top priority for the people is a strong national defense, especially at a point when we face grave dangers all around the world. Today we'll pass reforms to the foreign intelligence capabilities that help keep Americans safe. Tomorrow we'll act to ensure that Congress and the people can review any potential agreement with Iran. And Friday we'll pass a strong defense bill that provides our troops with the resources they need to do their job to protect the American people. These bills were written in a bipartisan fashion, and they continue our focus on getting things done for the people of the United States of America.
Before I begin, I just want to convey our condolences and our prayers to those who lost their lives in the Amtrak crash and those who are recovering from it. And we'll make sure to follow through and the difficulties of what caused this. First, I'd like to express my disappointment in the Senate Democrats. They abandoned their president yesterday. This was the president's big economic bipartisan agenda that he had for the whole year. Even those who said they were with it and supported it walked in and voted against him. Now, I believe TPA has the opportunity to come back. I believe it's good for this country, not just from an economic point of view, but also from a strategic point of view of what the world is looking like. Many of you heard or saw the quote that I'd like to read now from the former CIA Deputy Director, Mike Morrell. I've never seen more threats to our country at any time in my 33 years in business, I think, in the history of our country. We've heard many times that currently our friends don't trust us and our enemies don't fear us. The House believes that we have a role. We have a role to make America stronger. And when you look at just this week's agenda, you'll hear from the chairman of Armed Services taking up NDAA and the funds for our military, but also the transformation to make sure the tax dollars go further and that we're better protected. Iran nuclear agreement review, we'll take that up to make sure that we all have a say in the process to know which direction we're going. And the USA Freedom Act. We want to make sure we protect our civil liberties, but also protect every American from the terrorist attacks of the capabilities of what people want to do to America. I think these are all good bills, but they also show a direction of where this House would make sure they're protecting the rest of this country. I just hope the Democrats can work together to actually put America first, not just our economy, but also our security as we move forward and take up TPA.
American trade is critical to our country's future and our economy. And of course, what you saw yesterday in the Senate with some games being played by Senate Democrats surely shows what work is left to do. But in the House, we're continuing to grow our vote. Clearly, the president needs to continue to grow his vote because American trade is critical to giving our workers a competitive edge so that we can grow a healthier economy here at home. So we're going to continue the work that we need to do. The White House needs to continue doing the work that they need to do to get this done.
This week marks an important week in Congress, and it's one in which America's new Congress will continue to advance real solutions for people all across this country. You know, when 6 months ago, following the election, there was a poll that said 82% of the American people wanted Congress to work together to achieve what was best for the country. And in the last 6 months, that's exactly what we've been doing. And you know what? We have done it by listening to people. We listened to seniors, and we passed a permanent bipartisan entitlement reform, the doc fix, which is really going to give our seniors the certainty that they need. We've listened to moms and dads and students and families back home, and we passed a budget that is going to make Congress accountable to the people. We've begun the appropriations process that reflects people's priorities. And we've listened to those on the front lines in our national defense. whether it's our troops, our service members, our veterans. We are advancing legislation that is going to make sure that we are strong. These are just some of the many solutions that have been coming out of the House Republican majority. In the last 6 months, this Congress has made the people the priority. We're listening to their concerns. We care, and we're going to continue to work to get the job done.
Thanks, Tom. Just a few days ago, I had the privilege of hosting my 4th Veterans Resource Fair to assist veterans in eastern Kansas. And one issue I discussed with veterans in attendance really struck a nerve with me. Our veterans and our heroes are still struggling with getting good paying jobs. The unemployment rate for the overall civilian population may be going down, but the unemployment rate for veterans is still well above the average. That's unacceptable and something that we have to address. The House will vote this week on the National Defense Authorization Act, and while NDAA covers many areas of our national defense, including readiness and equipment, there are many provisions that will greatly benefit our soldiers when they are veterans and prepare them for their post-military career. NDAA includes new initiatives for job training and post-service placement for our troops to ensure our veterans will have the opportunity to secure a good-paying job. We need to ensure those who fought for our country get everything that they are owed, need, and deserve.
This year's National Defense Authorization Act includes pay and benefits provisions for our troops, a variety of weapons and equipment decisions, and policy points in several key areas like Ukraine and Iraq. But I think a key point is that we authorize programs at a level that matches exactly what the President requested. So there's differences of opinion about the categories some of that spending falls under. But if you add it up together, we match exactly the President's request at $11.9 billion. There is also significant reform in this bill. When the Personnel Commission issued their recommendations for a new retirement system for our military, a lot of folks thought there's no way Congress will do that. It's in the bill as a way to help us continue to recruit and retain top quality folks for decades to come. So whether it's in the area of personnel reform, acquisition reform to simplify our process and make it easier to hold people in government and industry accountable for the results, or reducing overhead, there's significant reform in this bill. The bill came out of committee by a vote of 60 to 2. Because people on the Armed Services Committee were able to put aside differences that they may have had over this provision or that and put the broader interests of the country, the broader interests of our troops ahead of that. It is very disturbing to me, rumors that some in Congress may try to oppose the NDAA to try to put pressure on us to increase spending on domestic agencies. I hope that's not true, because it is absolutely wrong to use the men and women who serve our country in the military as pawns in some sort of political game in Washington. This bill deserves the support of the full House like it had of the Armed Services Committee.
Questions?
Mr. Speaker, and this is either for you or Mr. Thornberry here. In the defense bill, what's the status of the Brooks Amendment that deals with the Dreamers? And what's your disposition on what this should be in the defense bill?
Well, the Rules Committee is likely to take this issue up today, and there's no decisions been made by the Rules Committee in terms of how to deal with that issue. And so later on today, we'll see what the Rules Committee decides.
You prefer one or the other? In or out, the Brooks Amendment? You personally, you as the Speaker.
Just because I don't vote, if you recall.
Well, I know, but you are the Speaker.
I think we'll let the Rules Committee resolve this issue.
Senator McConnell has spoken out quite strongly against this Freedom Act. What is your opinion about how that's going to do over the Senate? And I understand you had a fairly contentious conference meeting about that concerning the amendments. What's your view on this one?
Well, this is the bill to protect our foreign intelligence capabilities. It's very similar to a bill that we moved last year with nearly 300 votes in the House. And some work was done by the Intelligence Committee and the Judiciary Committee to put some finer points on it, but the structure is basically the same. And the House is going to act this week. Now, this is a very delicate issue. I know members would like to offer some amendments, but this is not a place for people to bring out the wrecking ball. And so the House is going to do its job, and we'll let the Senate do their job. Paul.
Given the delays in the Senate on TPA, is it likely not until June is the earliest that the House will be able to take it up?
Well, obviously, I'm still optimistic that the Senate will figure out how to deal with this. They're having a little bump in the road over there. But at the end of the day, I think there's a majority in the House and Senate for giving this president trade promotion authority. And I'm hopeful that the Senate will act soon. And when the Senate does, I expect we will act shortly thereafter.
Last question. If the Senate were to do a straight reauthorization of the Patriot Act and didn't take up the Freedom Act, would you take that up here?
Well, I'm not going to speculate on what the Senate may or may not do, but all I know is that these programs expire at the end of this month. They're critically important to keep Americans safe. The House is going to act, and I hope the Senate would act soon as well. Thanks, everybody.